trashable clothes than to I don't know, to like yuck up your nice.
Right. And then there's the in between, which Dina has mentioned, that she does get dressed to take out the trash, which some people wear their pajamas, as we know. And you know what? No
Yes,
shame.
I get dressed. Yes, let's all get dressed when we go to the corner. No one needs to see us like 7 in the morning, like with our butts hanging out.
Woo! That's how we're starting today. Um, yes. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Trash talk. Oh, truly trash talk.
Well, okay. Let's not be like Edge Studio does trash talk at the top of their, social hours.
So
Hey,
Siobhan, should we can it?
that was another pun from David Goldberg, my
I'll
friend.
dump my jokes.
So in the chat, I'm like, wow, people, we got Boston. Oh, yes, we got Glenwood Springs, Colorado. If there's someone in your state or city, you can like DM them and be like, what's up? If we've got more Atlanta, Hampton people, dress for trash disposal. We love it. I'm going to try a new thing today where I like give you guys our links at the top. I find sometimes when we have links at the end, I don't remember them. We do have, I'll tell you our cool classes coming up. We had Nicole with us last week, and she is teaching a script interpretation class on March 18th. If you want to, conflicting with that time is Tom Deer's tax time class, also on March 18th. If you are stressing about your taxes, you know what, everyone, you can be proud of me because I did mine. I did them. So that's cool. Good for me. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the emotional support. Additionally, we do have a networking for voice actors class on March 28th. I'm excited about that one. I love talking to people. That's pretty much one of the only things I think I'm really good at. So anyway, that's going to be super fun. That's with Liz Jury, who is our featured guest on the AMA at our next session. So we will continue hosting these sessions with our fabulous voice coaches from across the nation. Here at Edge is, AMA on every other Thursday. So if you
Does
haven't
everyone know wait, does it AM?
David,
I don't know. Do you guys know what AMA is?
it means ask me
anything. Yeah, that's today's thing. Yeah, ask me anything.
Right. So today
I forget our own.
David, I'm getting some well, can people hear David okay? Or is he we're getting interference, David. So I know this is David. If you this is our Chief Edge Officer, David Goldberg. This is usually the moment where I ask him how he's doing. And now I can really put him on the spot and ask him anything about how he's doing with or without interference. I also just want to say that I love seeing your faces. John P has some Brady Bunch hilarity in his square. Highly recommend looking at that guy. That's funny. What's up, Sandy? I love it when I see y'all's books. I'm like, I got smart people up in here. Barry's place always looks like the place that you really want your happy hour to be. It's just, there's so much sunlight. It looks really good. Dina is always in her studio, which is red. And I love it because I love, passionate colors. I'm a jewel tones kind of person. So it's fun to see you guys. It truly, truly is. Mercedes, I'm saying Mercedes, but maybe it's Mercedes. Could be. Okay, the second one. Got it. Mercedes is wearing a gorgeous yellow shade today, and it's bringing me joy. So what's up? Okay, David, how you doing? We got you?
Hopefully. Can you hear me? Yeah.
You were there and then
so?
So the way in and out. Dude, is your name pronounced Gregor? Kind of.
Okay, I've just switched networks. Is it take 3 any better?
Take 3 is better. We love to see it. Thank you, David. David, are you doing well today?
I am. I'm noticing John P's background of the Brady Bunch, and that's bringing me joy. Mercedes, nothing against her. It's lovely, but the Brady Bunch. Come on, guys! What a great show. John P., you win for the background.
You win for the background, meaning you get the satisfaction of the compliment, you know? That's winning in 2021.
Mercedes has best clothes. John has background. We'll do the awards. The to me anything awards.
Oh boy, we feel silly today. So the way this works, if this is your first time, welcome. Every other Thursday we hang out and I make jokes. We've got cats, we've got great names, we've got great locations. We talk about voiceover, we pitch questions to David about all things voiceover, and we hang out for the hour. This is being recorded and I will post it on YouTube. You can find it on our social media channels. And what you're gonna do, and some people are already doing it, is say hi to each other and be super nice. We want all the kindness we can possibly manifest this year. And you can just put your questions in the chat and I'm gonna give them over to David so he doesn't have to, deal with that part. And and we'll just talk about whatever's going on with you and your questions about voiceover today, provided it's not too specific about, fixing your home studio up. We can't do that in the hour, unfortunately, but we can talk questions. David is, of course, an engineer. A lot of Californians in here. California is a big state, though, so there is that. And we do have a sunny New Jersey. How about that sunlight? Okay. I am now getting into the questions. What's the story behind the skull shirt? Goth. David, did you have a skull shirt on today?
Yeah, they're sort of hard to see. Whoever said that has some pretty good eyes.
Wait, is this the one that has
yeah. If I little, this is like sort of like how I can stand up a little, or I can aim my camera down a little bit. Yes. Can you guys see the skulls? I have the skull eating the microphone over here. Sorry. Anyway, okay, we should move on to questions.
That's pretty metal of you, David. I love it. The people love it too. We love to see it. So, okay.
This week was my pillows, and this week are the skulls.
Okay. So, what is up, Alexis? Alexis is asking, David, what are your thoughts on the news that LinkedIn plans to introduce a gig job system where professionals can sell their services? Would that be accepted by the VO community, like the online casting sites, or frowned upon, like Upwork? What do you think, David?
It's a really interesting and good and well-timed. Here are my thoughts. Number one, let it be known that I don't know enough about the new LinkedIn site to be able to fully to give my thoughts, but I want to share a thoughts I have about it. So as far as Upwork and other sites like it go, one of the problems that I see with these sites, sorry, I want to go back and preface this. There are pros and cons to everything. And there are different ways of looking at all of these situations. There are so many variables involved. And some of the sites like Upwork tend to provide lower prices to voice actors for their work. And we sort of think at Edge Studio that you, the voice actors, deserve a lot more money than sometimes as are paid on Upwork and some of these other job sites. And so my concern, as a lot of you may have, the more voice actors who provide inexpensive services on Upwork and other sites like it, sort of promoting this, you're promoting voiceover work as a low-paying job. I mean, you're lowering the pay for everyone involved in the industry, and that's not really a good thing. You guys are worth more than that. So, and in some regards, I don't think it's the best thing. But I don't know if the LinkedIn site is going to be sort of a lowball work site like Upwork, perhaps, or if there will be some stipulation as to price setting. I don't know. And if anyone knows, I'd love to hear your information on that. Certainly, I can research it and learn about it and let you guys know next time we have an Ask Me Anything. But if LinkedIn offers higher paying jobs, I think that's terrific. I ultimately, at the end of the day, I think you need to work for a fair price. And I think a fair price very often is higher than I've seen going on for voice Goodness gracious, I'm tired. Sorry. Yeah, I've seen prices just going out too small. Oh, I can't get the thoughts out. I can't get the words out. It's bizarre. And this is being recorded, which hurts me greatly. I don't want to have anyone in the office edit out this portion, but anyway, the prices paid on Upwork sometimes are just too low, and they annoy me. And I think that they should annoy you. And it bothers me that voice actors take these low ball jobs. Like I said, I don't know if LinkedIn will be that same or not. I just don't know.
Thank you, David. Yeah, that's super interesting.
So there's the third award today. We have best dress, best background, and worst ever answer.
I'm also noticing on the Zoom update that it's like highlighting the square of the person talking. I don't know. I'm like, wow, there's like a yellow. I was like, did David make himself a border? But no, it just bordered him. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I just want to, yeah, shout out Alexis, not only for bringing this to our attention, but then putting material in the chat for us to read, which is awesome because we can learn about it. And we'll see how this unfolds. From Taft, hey, what's up, Taft? It's always great to have you. Taft is asking, I know that this is likely relative, but do you have a wage to gauge like what a fair price is? And this is a good question. I know for folks starting out, I think this is a vulnerable question because it's like I'm new, so I need the experience. I want the job, but what do I do? How do I know what to charge? How do I know what is too little for my inexperienced self? So, David, I know we've kind of talked about this before, but you want to give us a little more on that?
Yeah, sure. A bunch of thoughts. Number one, there is a rate card on our website, which has basic starting off prices for non-union voice actors. So you can navigate to our website, go to resources, and you can find the rate card. But there's more to it because there are so many variables involved, so many thoughts, so many considerations. One of the coolest things I think about our industry is that even as a newcomer, you're not brand new. You're not inexperienced necessarily. So many voice actors sort of get their demos, they get their training, they get their demos, and they're so concerned to speak with the client because for the fear that the client says, well, what have you done? And the new voice actor says, well, I have done nothing. I mean, by the time you make your demo, at least at Edge, you have had a lot of training, which is, I think, very valuable. You've worked with multiple coaches, you've taken multiple classes, you've worked with producers, engineers, and we only let someone record a demo when you are prepared to work professionally. So you can say comfortably to a client, look, if you like my voice on that demo, that is my work. That's not some engineer photoshopping every syllable together. I put that thing together and I can duplicate it. I learned and I've been trained in such a way that I can do it. And if you speak comfortably, then you're sort of entering the industry at a playing field as other folks. I realize you haven't had paid job experience, but you've had voiceover experience, and that's the big difference. The next thing is when you are auditioning online, most of the time, the casting team won't know if you are brand new or if you've been at this for 30 years. And that's a really interesting thing. Now, certainly on some of the online casting sites, there are different tiers that voice actors can join. And sometimes those tiers are only available to voice actors who have had a certain amount of work. But there are a lot of auditions that occur, whether through production studios or agents or some of the online sites, the online casting sites, where the client or the casting team, like I said, won't know if you're brand new. So when it comes to calculating your price, don't be so concerned that, well, geez, I'm so brand new, I better charge very little, because the client won't know that. And if you charge very little, well, then we're back up to talking about Upwork.com, where you're underbidding yourself, which is bad for the entire industry, I think. So I would charge a regular rate, charge what you should be paid fairly, use our rate card to establish those rates and take it from there.
Boom. And I have dropped the resource center link in the chat. Yeah, and I can't drop you the direct rate card link because you have to sign up. You have to create a little login with us. It'll take you just a hot minute and you don't need to stress about it. Nothing bad will happen to you when you do that. But it's going to allow you to access our resources. I want to, there's a great thing happening here in the chat. I actually have dreams. I haven't talked to David about this, but I want to do I want to do a Zoom social with breakout rooms. That's my dream for 2021 for us. So we can really hang and talk about these things, but keep it going in the chat because this is cool. People are talking about LinkedIn and the social or the job environment for LinkedIn or the social aspect of LinkedIn. And I know that in some industries, I think, for theater and actually in some cases voiceover for me, I've certainly found Facebook to feel that way. Like I get Facebook messages from people who are like, hey, don't you do this kind of thing? I would love to use you because I think you'd be really good. And I keep Facebook as a professional space. Really, I don't get really personal on it, and I keep it as a space where people can find me and I'm very findable. And there's kind of like this work environment that is cultivated. That's why I'm very like pro social media for freelancers, because I think that, voice actors, you definitely having a social presence. If people know Johnny Heller, he's very active on socials and I think it's good for him. It's part of his brand. People find him there, so that's kind of an element for me of like what that Facebook is a little bit of a LinkedIn experience in the art world, So, and I wonder if other people have had that kind of thing for them as well. It's a whole kind of frontier. And I wonder if LinkedIn is like, oh, we want to be more fun job centric, I don't know. I mean, it's a new frontier in 2021. Okay, so there was a question about marketing, and marketing is a whole massive field. And so, Luke, preparing for his demo, congratulations, that's awesome. And is wondering about how Edge can help me market myself after my demo is completed. So the first thing for people who are thinking about training with Edge or doing anything in our program is that we do have a What Now course after you've recorded to get to get you started and get the wheels spinning and hit the ground running. Marketing is quite a thing, and it is something that you have to be self-motivated to do. David, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we suggest? I mean, it's an expansive category that we can kind of touch on.
Yeah, certainly. I see marketing in three different paths or three different ways to market yourself as a voice actor. And we have talked about this before in some of the previous Ask Me Anything. So I'll make it brief. You can have someone do the work for you. And that means you either engage with an agent or hire a manager. Second option you have is to audition through online casting sites, which are super convenient. You don't need to do any personal outreach, no cold calls. I mean, essentially the auditions come to you. Third thing you can do is direct marketing. And there are absolutely benefits to all three, and there are cons to all three. And there's no, these things are not mutually exclusive. There are some voice actors who participate in all three forms of marketing. And if I was a voice actor, I think I would do all three, in fact. So they each have their benefits, and you have to figure out what's best for you. And that's something that we can't go into right now because there are a lot of people on this call. I can't help each person figure out what's best for them, but it does depend on your comfort level with cold calling and reaching out to clients. It depends on your ability to self-direct. It depends on the genre that you focus on, where you best build. There are a lot of considerations, and that's something that you can work with one of our coaches on or work with me on, and I can try to steer you into a path that might work best for you.
David, a question from Marion. This is an agent question. So Marion is seeking agencies that are best suited with casting for animation and video games. Is there a particular site to look this up, or how do you go about scouting for this kind of agent?
Google. That's it. I mean, if you type in voice acting, animation agents or something, I think you'll find a whole lengthy list of them. The ideal way to find agents is to see it from the client's perspective. So you imagine that you own a business and you're looking to hire a voice actor, and you think, oh, you know what? Let me contact an agent. Well, what is it that you would plug into Google to find an agent? Those are the keyword search terms that you should be looking for. And so what would a client say? Well, I have an explainer video that's done with animation and I want a voice actor on it. So I would type in narration or voiceover or voice actor, and I might type in animation or explainer video or e-learning and use these words, and you'll find many, many agents that specialize in animation. You'll also find many agents that say they do have animation auditions and they don't really, but you have to go through your list and do some work and look at their websites and figure out which ones you want to contact.
I want to recommend something that Tom Deere suggested when he was with us a couple of weeks ago, which is that if doing any of this kind of research stresses you out or you get overwhelmed by it, you could consider hiring someone to compile these lists of things for you. You could consider, like,
Yes.
you know what, is my time best spent on Google for hours, or does that stress me out? There are people who love, they have that, is that the left brain kind of stuff, there are people who love doing that and who are good at it and might be better at managing the kind of Google searches and the kind of going into the rabbit holes of these things than you are. And it could be an option or something to consider. Tom certainly says your time is more important than your money. And I think sometimes, of course, we mean that literally, but we also mean that in your level of stress and anxiety, because having a list emailed to you that's already ready to go for you to then do that work might be something that benefits you.
So let me just add a thought. I do agree with what Siobhan's saying, which means I also agree with Tom. And Tom and Siobhan both know a lot and they're great. But there's one other thought, and that is the first time you set out to find an agent, for example, I would take some time to do it on your own, at least the first time, because I suspect that you will learn a lot about how agents work by reading a bunch of websites on agents. If you are not familiar enough with the way agents work, if you're not familiar enough with the names out there, then I think it's worth your time looking around, learning. I mean, that's your homework. That's your education, the foundation that you will need. Once you understand that world, certainly pay someone to do it. Hire a college student in a marketing class or a business analyst in college or something, a local college. Get them to do it. My older son now is old enough. He loves researching. And whenever I have something to research, even if it's to find a painter or something like at our house, my wife or I will say like, yeah, go, spend an hour on Google and, we'll give you a couple of bucks, earn some money and see what you find. And that's fine. But at first, do your work and learn this stuff. You need to know the industry inside and out, because the day that you speak with an agent, you're going to want that comfort. You'll do much better by having some comfort because you have some knowledge of what it is that they do. And let me further that. If you're going to contact a particular agent, spend an hour reading everything you can about that agent. Learn who their past clients are, who their current clients are, their big star voice actors. Who are they? What big jobs have they had? Have they been bought out or merged with another agent? Be ready to talk about these things. So if things come up in natural conversation with the agent, you can participate in the conversation.
Additionally, from Edmund is asking something sort of similarly, not similarly, but asking for tips to getting voiceover work in other countries, seeking American voiceover artists like Japan. I don't know if you're on our mailing list, Edmund, but we do offer, we offer at least once a year, maybe twice. We do have a global market voiceover class with Jason Birmingham and Simone Clias, who they joined us for an Ask Me Anything several months ago now, but that class is all about this thing. Of course, it's hard to get all deep into that in this session. And I'm literally saying that because specific classes to these specific questions are going to be deeply fulfilling because you can delve into all of the ins and outs. But I suspect otherwise, this kind of similar space of what David was just saying is part of seeking these kinds of things. It just takes some labor. I don't know, David, if you want to add anything to the global voiceover market for Americans.
Yeah, two things very briefly. Siobhan, you can talk with Jonathan because it's been a while since we've had that class. It might be good to run that because I've had someone else ask me about international work. So here's the thing, guys. There is a ridiculous amount of international work, like an insane amount. And if you target a certain country, especially one where you may have some experience, like maybe you speak the language or have relatives or like to visit or just some passion for, it's amazing how much work you can find. If you contact all the production houses and online casting sites in a X country, whatever it is. Do your research and find some agents over there as well. Most countries are looking for American English voice acting, or voice actors rather, and you can clean up. It's amazing. If you speak a certain language, even to a slight degree, it is even more helpful. But there's a lot of work out there.
So from John, I'm going to read this out loud because I think I understand. Okay, it says, do you or anyone have a workaround for a high quality outgoing message on a cell phone as a possible first point of contact? I feel a traditional cell phone message could be a deterrent. Do you mean when you're calling, when you're doing cold calls and you don't sound? No. Okay. I'm going to unmute you. This is John. I love John. Hi, John. Wait, it didn't work. Try again. Yes.
There we go. It's more like for an answering machine, an answering machine idea where if I leave a number on a website and a client calls, their first point of contact is going to be a low quality iPhone message. Is there a known workaround? I've done a lot of research of this online and I've really not found anything. I think people are able to do it, but I was wondering if anybody has that experience of just so the first point of contact is a high quality recording of my voice saying, hey, I'm not here, leave a message.
That is such a thoughtful question that we've never had before. David?
Yeah, it used to be possible. Yeah, it used to be possible. I remember back even like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we finagled back when there were real answering machines. We finagled some super high quality recordings on it. And when you called, the quality was just terrific. I mean, it really, really stood out. I don't know if that is any longer possible. It may be. And if you learn about it, please let me know. But here's the thing. I wouldn't worry much about it because I suspect that a caller is used to hearing phone quality when they reach a voicemail. But I think that you can make a big difference by recording it in a clean sounding room, like a dry room, of course, and speaking well and speaking at the right distance from the microphone. You can do tests with it. And I think that if you do your homework, I think this word homework keeps coming up, right? If you do your homework and try recording into your iPhone, directly into your iPhone from 5 different vantage points, like one holding the phone right in front of you and one to the side and one close to a sound absorbing blanket or something like that. If you experiment and find the best sound quality, I believe that the difference will still be significant to the caller. Because most people who I call and hear a voicemail, usually their outgoing messages sound really crappy. There's echo and they're too far from the mic and whatever it might be. You may find that you even talk through a pop screen, right? So you take your phone and you talk right into it with a pop screen in between. I mean, experiment, see what works best. Again, I believe that you'll find something that sounds much better than 99% of other outgoing messages. It is a thoughtful question.
It is a thoughtful question. And I want to know, Dina, do you have this device? Can I unmute you and you can tell us about it? I'm getting social today, y'all.
I have it and I haven't plugged it in yet, but I got it for Clubhouse, so that I could actually use this mic and be talking on Clubhouse, and I haven't done it yet. So, but okay. It's supposed to be able to do that.
I can understand that the connection going in is better, but will the quality on a voicemail be better through it?
So if you're going to record your new outgoing message, I would think that the input then would be coming through whatever mic you hook up to it. That would be my guess.
So you're starting
but again,
with a good
I haven't tried
sounding system.
Yeah,
you're starting with a very good sound file. That's how we used to do with answering machines. We used to specifically buy an answering machine that had an input into it, which was very rare, but there were some. But with an iPhone, I mean, certainly I guess you can drag in a file. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. I'll read up on Clubhouse more about it. It's a great site.
Yeah, I have like 8 invites to Clubhouse, including Johnny being like, "You're cool. Why don't you do this cool thing?" And I was like, I'm busy and I'm afraid of it." And he was like, "I don't understand it, but you seem like you understand these things, you know." So it was a funny conversation. And Mercedes, I know, Clubhouse is not open to Android yet, and I have a lot of friends who are mad about it. And they've got to be changing that. They've got to change that. But also, Dina, I'm gonna look at this thing too. That's really cool. See, this is the point. We learn from each other. That seems really fascinating. And that you got it for Clubhouse. I gotta get on that. Everybody's hanging out. Nadia's on it. Nadia Chowdhury. David, she like hosts events on Clubhouse now. Can't keep up. Cool. I cannot keep So, okay, we'll see you all on Clubhouse when it comes to Android. But until then, we're on Zoom. Don't worry, Mercedes. We'll never leave you. Don't worry. Okay, cool. So, John, I think you should get this thing. I mean, boy, what is voiceover if not like get this thing? Oh, boy. Okay. So, but I love that question. That's awesome. Okay. We have had this discussion before, but we haven't talked about it in a couple of weeks. I think I know what David's going to say, but I want to hear him say it again on this, month of March. David, do you have any concern about Amazon, Poly, and any other AI kind of VO apps taking market share away from live talent? What do you think?
I do, but not for many, many decades. I have been following this for years, and I have not found any of these AI that have a humanistic quality to them. The first time I heard about something like this was with a division of AT&T, and this was back in probably the very early 90s, maybe the 80s. And they hired a female voice actor who they felt had the perfect voice, articulation, and so on. A woman who lives like a mile from me, just coincidentally, who I knew anyway. And they had her record every virtual sound and some key words, and they had some crazy computer system that could sort of put the letters together and form words, and it sounded terribly robotic. And for all of these years, the software, the ability of systems, the AI systems has come a long way, and it's still nowhere near like a true human. It's very hard to control an AI source and say, emphasize this word or that word, or slow down on this word. It takes her to do that, if it's even possible, which I haven't seen it been able to be done. But if it was even possible, it would still save time by just hiring a human to do it. So yes, I think that there's a big possibility that at some point AI takes over to some degree, but I don't see it foresee it happening for a long time.
Sorry, I mute myself when I type because I don't want to be distracting. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And I think we can all just take a collective exhale that we don't need to have anxiety about that right now. There's other things to have anxiety about. Cool. Okay, great. So I'm going to go to Madri. When a script is provided for an audition, how much of the script should be read? I've heard you should never record the entire script. How do I determine what parts of the script to read?
No, once again, it depends on a lot of variables. If it's a client reaching out to you specifically because you have worked with them in past, I would do whatever it is that they want you to do. To I guess even then to a point. If someone sends you 5 pages of documentary, I would not give them 5 pages. I guess you do a portion of it. Let me think if I can sort of organize my thoughts here on this, because I'm thinking there are so many considerations. The first thing that comes to mind is if it's a short audition, there's the concern. I know how to organize my thoughts. Okay, I think that you're into 2 parts. The first part is the concern about your audition being stolen, and I think it is someone taking just too much of your time. So in terms of your audition being stolen, if an agent sends you an audition for a commercial and it's a 15-second commercial and they send you the entire 15-second commercial and say, well, this is the entire 15-second commercial, send us an audition, then you're sitting there thinking, geez, if I record this thing, they might say that they won't hire me, but maybe they use it anyway. Like, how would you know? So then what a lot of voice actors do is that they put a little watermark somewhere in it. They put a blip somewhere, a beep sound. They leave out one word. They intentionally change some numbers around, you know, but that's just like telling the client, I don't trust you. Like, I think you're going to steal from me. You know, you are my potential client and you're coming to me, and thank you so much for coming to me and trusting to, you know, consider hiring me, but I don't hire you. But I don't trust you. So I'm going to screw up the audition. Well, that's just not a nice way to start a relationship. I think at some point when you run your own business, as all of you do, you run a voiceover business, at some point, a client's going to take advantage of you and steal your audition or not pay you for a job. It's going to happen. It's part of business. Suck it up, I hate to say, but it happens to us. It happens to virtually every voice actor at some point or another. So if it's a short audition, I'd go for it. That's my own feeling. I would not watermark anything like that. And another concern about watermarking things is the client might aren't very careful. So if you swap two numbers intentionally so they can't use it, maybe the client thinks, oh, they even, you know, when they're trying to show off how great they are on their audition, they switch a couple of numbers around in the script or a couple of words around. So I would not watermark. Then I said the other concern with a long audition is that someone's just taking too much of your time. I will tell you that sometimes there's a reason for long auditions. And it's a pain in the ass to read these long auditions. But sometimes when we are casting, we hear a lot of material because we're looking for a voice actor who has stamina and character development and consistency, and they can keep us engaged for a long period of time. You can't tell that in 10 seconds or 30 seconds. So you might say that there's some ratio to how long the audition should be based upon how long the entire script. If someone is going to send you potentially a long audiobook, what's a 5-minute audition? It's nothing. It's a tiny, you know, percentage of the entire book. So maybe then it does make sense to record the entire thing. I think at the end of the day, you should read the entire audition most of the time. It's hard to judge when it's not right because, like I said, there are variables. I have seen clients get upset at voice actors for not reading the entire audition. That I should say. The client sends out a 1-minute audition and someone sends back 45 seconds of it and thinks, why? I've been basing a lot on the tagline, like from audition to audition. I like jumping through someone's audition to see how they are at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Do they stay consistent? So I think, again, in most cases, give the whole thing if you can.
I love this. And I love you guys are great in the chat. I also just want to say, Denitra has a beautiful listening face. She's like, do it.
I love that. A listening face. That's great.
Yeah, she has a really good listening face. And I noticed her, so I wanted to say that too. Yeah, you know, the world of auditions, oftentimes though, I have found that most of my auditions have been pretty specific about what they want. So read your auditions and the emails and make sure that you double check how they want the file and all that stuff. It really does. You get anxious. I know when I press send, I always get a little anxious about it. I'm like, did I do this right? As Barry said, it's hard enough just to do it right. That it's
maybe, you know, and what else? Oh, and keep in mind that no matter how sucky it might be for you to have to record a 5-minute audition, in many regards, it's suckier for the client to have to listen to 100 auditions that are each 5 minutes long. So, you know, does the client want to set themselves up for disaster? There's a relatively good chance that the client has a long audition because they sort of need that long audition. Like they really want to find out if you're the right voice actor. I've seen a lot of clients go through and they listen to the first word of a 5-minute audition. They listen to just 1 second, 3 or 4 words, 1 second, and they say yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. But then when they get down to the final voice or maybe the final 3, then they listen to the entire 5-minute audition and say, you know, let me see which one can really maintain my listening, my listening engagement, which one can give me a good listener face, you know. So there's a reason why they send these auditions out, right?
Yes. Okay. This is great. And I was like so jazzed, and now I've lost my from as I'm scrolling up and all around. I know there was one from Sandy. Sandy would like to start medical narration. Can you talk about some of the things that I need to focus on in practicing or networking to find medical narration work?
Well, that's two very different questions. In terms of what to practice, if you have to practice medical verbiage, like the crazy medical jargon out there, if you're not comfortable pronouncing that stuff, I would not even get into medical narration, because it will never be easy for you. It probably won't be easy, or it will take a long time until it becomes easy. There are lots of voice actors who specialize in medical narration, pharmaceutical narration, and so on. You know, the jargon that comes up in these things is pretty intense. A lot of these scripts are just full of medical terminology. And over the years, I've seen voice actors who will submit a medical narration audition, and they might really sound good. And they'll say, yeah, man, that 3-minute audition took me like 5 hours through. Like I had to look up so many words and figure out how to pronounce those words. But I finally nailed it. And I'll say, yeah, it does sound good. If you get the script, if you get hired for the job, you're screwed. Because if it took you like hours to get through a 3-minute audition, how will you ever get through an hour-long medical training video or a medical presentation? So only enter this industry if it really makes sense for you. And then I would begin by putting together a list of, and if, by the way, and if you are good at medical jargon, if you can pronounce it correctly and comfortably, then start putting together a list of all the applications for medical and pharmaceutical work, from training videos and for medical school, and your doctor wanted you to watch this video to explain to you videos, and medical podcasts and medical documentaries and medical and pharmaceutical sales presentations for medical devices, and you know, and compliance videos for doctors and nurses, and so on. Put together an application, a list of these applications, and start building your scripts, and you know, eventually record a demo, hopefully with a producer who understands that world. So I know it's a very big industry. If you can do it, there's a lot of work. It's a lot of great work. We record a lot of it, a lot of medical stuff at Edge, and it's a solid income for a lot of voice actors. Though, if you're right for it, definitely need it.
I just want to piggyback on that to say, don't feel overwhelmed if you are. I know that I've had students like email me after some of these things and be like, voiceover is so hard. There's so much to it. And it's like, you don't have to be a medical narration champion tomorrow. You don't. It's okay. You can explore it and learn about it. And I don't know, talk to doctor pals about what they, you know, like ask them to explain, like if that's something you're exploring and trying to get into. All of this stuff takes time, but it is your time and your pace that you explore, understanding that the commitment of this is for real. So we want to let you know that it is a real commitment all the time, but also don't stress out about it. It's gonna be okay. I'm trying to get a variety of questions at this point in our last 10, 15 minutes or so from Larry. David, do you find that attending voiceover conferences is beneficial and worth the time and money? People in the chat, I would love for you to respond to that as well, but let's hear it from David.
I think it can be very good for some people and very bad for other people. Like everything, guys, it depends. It depends on the conference. It depends on how invested you are in it. It depends on how giving you are of information, how focused you are at taking the information. Lots of things to think about. I've seen people go to conferences which I have personally felt offer so much information, amazing, terrific, helpful information from a variety of different speakers who are really knowledgeable, people I know in the industry who just have been there, done that, and they're sharing their information. Yet someone else is too busy in the bar, they're sleeping in late and they missed the opening workshops and so on. Of course, you're not going to get that much out of it. But if you can go to things and say, you know what, rather than going to the fancy meals that they offer, I'm going to make as many meetings as I can with these experts and take advantage of it, then you can glom a lot of information. You really can, and organize it. People, these conferences will be so overwhelmed that sort of backfire brains and they won't be able to process anything because there is so much information, or the potential of so much information coming at you, all different places from all different people at the same time, that if you get overwhelmed easily, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you can set up for the digital version of it and watch each class over some span, a period of time. But there is a lot of good to be learned at these conferences. There really is. If it's the right thing for you, it's fantastic. And it's also great to network with voice actors. I've come across a lot of voice actors who say, you know what, it was really helpful just to meet with other voice actors. They say the teachers themselves, that was great. The conferences, the presentations, yeah, great. But talking one person who's in the same shoes and exploring ideas and making connections and finding partners that we can make little accountability groups out of and stuff, that was the most thing. So they get out of these conferences if it's right for you.
Yeah, that was the only part I wanted to contribute is when I was at VO Atlanta with Edge, one of our students became friends with another kind of new voice actor. And the two of them like palled around the conference together, and they were like, I don't know what I'm just learning. I'm scared. And they both kind of had that together. And I think that it's really, that's a really wonderful thing, because moving forward, they were like, okay, what are you going to get for your home studio? And able to kind of support each other from that conference time. So like David said, meeting people, I mean, someday we'll be able to, meet each other again. And of course, those relationships, as we human beings understand, are powerful. So, that there's a lot of benefit for some people, not all people, as David said. This is a constant conversation. I was thinking today, I went for a run and I was like, I should start doing polls at these AMAs, because polls are fun and people have different opinions. But we do have a mouth noise question, David. Do you have magic tricks or de-clicking programs? Madison has tried green apples, dry mouthwash, pretty much everything, but is really looking for new ideas. Drop them in the chat. David, what's your favorite method?
Methods, plural. So first of all, for anyone who hasn't, experiment with what works best for you. So every time you get a cold, every time your mouth is extra clicky for whatever reason, try a different remedy and see what works. But keep in mind that the more you focus on, usually for most people, the more you focus on noise, it gets. And that's sort of a catch-22, because the more you focus on it, you focus on it more, which makes you, it's a terrible catch-22, like I said. If you can totally sort of disregard it and not worry about it, it might just go away. And I have seen that happen for many, many voice actors. But if it doesn't go away, then go visit a dentist and ask why it's happening, right? Sometimes it happens because of a space in your teeth. It could be dentures. It could be braces that you're wearing. I've seen all different types of reasons for true mouth clicks, or sibilants or plosives sometimes. And sometimes things can be shifted in your mouth very easily to get rid of something. Whistling S's, for example, sometimes by slightly closing up a space, by shifting two teeth around, it can decrease sibilants. If you can't get rid of it, then you can try a different microphone, or you can try the same microphone, stand a different to the microphone. And very often that can do the trick. And the third thing, declicking software. Well, there's manual declicking, which is a very long time, but there is declicking software. Isotope, the more popular brands out there, you can try that. It takes a little while to get used to, but once you apply the declicking, and once you get it set for your voice, you can pretty much trust it. I will caution you, anytime you use the declicking software, listen back carefully to your recorded, because every once in a while, the declicking software will take out something you don't want. It might think that you want to keep in the recording is actually a click and it. So just listen carefully to it.
From Darwin, Audacity is no longer working with Mac OS, the operating system Catalina. Is there a better free platform or workaround? David, do you know?
I don't know, but this is something I can drop in the chat because we don't use Audacity. I mean, I have it at home for my Windows system, um, but we have everything we have at Edge generally. So I'm just not as familiar with the updates on that. But if someone's that'd be terrific. And I would say that Audacity is so popular that maybe they'll come out with an update. But of course, if you're using it right now, you need something right now. So if anyone can drop something in the chat, that would be super duper helpful.
Darwin, they've got you. There's a link from John for a workaround. We got all my Johns in the house. And then John Bellimer has another option for you. So,
yeah, and I know lots of software, but which ones are free, I'm not so sure.
I'm going to call this Ask John Anything. What do you think, David?
I like it. AJA.
AJA.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, all the Johns. Oh boy. Okay. And yes, people are asking about what VO Atlanta is. And am I fair? Is it right to say that it's the largest American voiceover conference?
It is
right?
claimed to be the largest. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So it started, I think this will be the 9th year. I may be mistaken on that. It's a terrific conference. And most of the voiceover conferences, I think, really are terrific in many ways, and a lot of them have their own type of clientele and their own branding. VO Atlanta, VoiceOver, is really open to one. It has a big Spanish division. It typically has a kids division, and it has American English division, and it's big. The last time we had it 2 Marches ago, I think 7th year, possibly the 8th year. And there were something like 700 or 700 people there. So I was told. This is big. It's typically in March. It is at the end of this month. I don't recall the date, or maybe it's April this year. I don't recall the dates. It will be done remotely this year. Last year was right before because of COVID-19. It was scheduled to be late March and it needed to be canceled. So it will be the first year that, as far as I am aware of, that it will be online. But again, there are a lot of great speakers, a lot of great conferences, classes for every different angle and skill level. It's a very good thing.
I love it. And I want to thank everybody in this session again today. This has been super lively and super good. Bill Clark, it's great to see you, by the way. It's been a long time. I'm so happy you're here. Yeah. Heck yes. So with all of this, great. There's the VO Atlanta signups. I can't believe that April is happening. I am like, what day is it ever? Like, I'm just overwhelmed by that. Okay. So my friends, we will do this. We will have this party again 2 weeks from now, which is the 18th. Oh, March 18th is a super fun day. So March 18th, we are hosting AMA Ask Me Anything again with Liz Drury, and she is the instructor for our networking for voice actors class. So a lot of people with marketing questions, anxiety about having to put yourself out into the world, I highly suggest this course. It's new for us and super excited about it. And if you're not sure, come to our free session on the 18th, where we will talk to Liz about this class and the kinds of ideas and themes that she's going to be presenting to us. If you are new to the world of voiceover and you're like, I don't know what to do, I really want to do this, but I'm scared, we do have a code right here for 10% off of any IVO. That's our Investigate Voiceover class. I promise our instructors are very kind and gentle to you in this session, and we will show you the ropes of beginning in this great world. I still have it saying Queen Nicole, and I'm going to keep it. Our Queen Nicole is teaching on March 18th a script interpretation course for folks who are trying to connect with their inner excited actor. Maybe if you're like me and you're like, I don't want to do this ad about a hamburger, I am a vegan. What do I do? So I don't know if everybody else has that problem. You might have some other kind of problem though. Again, taxes are not fun. Tom is a riot. So Tom is helping us with our taxes as well on March 18th. All your really ugly, really boring questions can go there to Tom. And you know that he will handle them because he is a force. Finally, if you want to have a private coaching session with any of our coaches here at Edge Studio, because you spent your time with us today, we do have an AMA code for coaching with an instructor here at Edge. That code also works for David's rate, which is at a separate link, and that is right here. If you would like to save this chat, because there was a lot of good conversation and a lot of links, you're going to just click on that little ellipses in the right-hand corner underneath the chat, and you will see that you can save it. It will not be pretty the way it saves the chat, but you will still have all the text. Otherwise, I am the person on our social medias, Twitter, Facebook. You can just be like, Siobhan, I was looking for Dina's link to that thing to get me looking sexy on Clubhouse. Actually, you can't see anyone. You just sound sexy on Clubhouse, whatever. And I can give you the link. I can help you, support you. And also this will be available. This YouTube, we'll post this whole recording on YouTube, and you can hear David's responses and all of our thoughts. Oh, John. Yeah. So
Siobhan.
Also, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I just want to get in. So I just looked. Voiceover Atlanta, VO Atlanta is April 19th through the 25th this year. Yes,
and that link has already been dropped in the chat a couple of times to sign up for VO Atlanta.
Old news, sorry.
Old news. John dropped his social handle as well. So if you want to get social, now is the time to do that and tell us your Instagram and Twitters so that we can follow each other and cheer each other on as we do things. Dina, it makes me laugh. You guys are so great. Alexis, thanks for being here. David, any closing remarks today?
No, thanks as always, guys. Really fun questions this time. Liz Drury, who's joining us next time in 2 weeks from today, she's terrific. So I hope you join us. And she's just dynamite. She's a terrific human being. She's an amazing voice actor. So you'll enjoy asking her questions, and I'll be here, and Siobhan will be here as well. Siobhan, you always rock. Thank you so much. All of you, thanks for your input. I'm not looking at the chat right now. Obviously, I didn't know about your Atlanta dates being posted, but thank you for adding to the chat. It's great. You said it, Siobhan, like we're all here to help everyone, and that's so nice. And just going back to that last question about whether or not to attend a conference, it's like this, right? You get to be with other people. It's nice. It's helpful. If you find these helpful, conferences can be super helpful. So anyway, I wish you guys fantastic 2 weeks. And Siobhan, thank you again.
Thank you, David. And just in the last minute, Liz is British, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're missing a British accent in your life, that's what you can get on March 18th at 1 p.m. We've got it all, we've got everything. Thank you for being with us. It's so great to see you all. I've missed you. Bill, I'm happy you're here. Dina, you light up my life. Y'all are amazing. David Lubbers has a very sophisticated look in his square too. It's great. You guys are super fantastic. Happy March to you all. And we'll see you in 2 weeks at the same time, but a different Zoom link, which will be shared with you before then. Mwah! Be well. Bye, y'all.